1,000 feet. Use the right 2 lanes to keep right.
Hey, you need motivation to fuel your focus and stay focused on the future, but where do you find it? You have to find it along the way. That's what we're going to be talking about today on Prepare to Go There. Welcome back or welcome aboard. My name is Peter, and thanks for being on this coaching journey with a lively band of future friends. It's Tuesday, July 6, 2021, and we're going to enjoy a very important mission-critical conversation, and it's all about finding motivation along the way. You know, we start really excited, and we feel that rush to just get going, but how do we stick with it? How do we actually persevere? How do we develop grit when we don't feel like grinding anymore, or maybe we feel ground down by what has happened to us over that, potential burnout phase? How do we actually grow our carrying capacity and go for the long haul? That's something that I'm really motivated about. That's why I keep showing up and having this conversation, to keep you going, to keep you encouraged. Because I know that preparation isn't just a one-day thing, it's a lifestyle. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here to keep you practically focused on your future, and hopefully to help you lead yourself more tactically forward day by day. As we kind of kick this off, I want to just start with the why we're doing this project, Prepare to Go There. And I call this group the future friends, because you need to find friends that will motivate you to keep your future on the front burner. So many times we get bogged down by the day-to-day, or just the details of implementing a big idea. And you need people in your corner that are going to give you clarity, give you confidence, give you the skill sets to become more competent, and then ultimately to help you find that community that's going to be impacted and benefited by what you're doing. And so I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep going on and on. I'm going to keep talking about the practical stuff that we can do to lead ourselves, and hopefully to grow a lifestyle of preparation. What I have found is that most people, they want to lead others into a better future, but they don't know how. And it's my thesis that they don't know how because they haven't really started to lead themselves there first. They know that things can be better. Maybe they know things should be better in the future, but they don't know how to take people there because they haven't led themselves there first. Leaders go first. We lead by example. And when you do, and you actually become the proof of concept for a better way forward, then people will pay attention, they'll listen, they'll follow you all the way. So that's what this is about. And if you are interested, then tag along. It's so important that we have this conversation about self-leadership for 2 reasons. The first one is because it's kind of a breakdown. It's a fault line in most leaders or most leadership cultures, because they're so excited about all the stuff they're doing and all the stuff that they're saying in front of people, in front of their team, in front of their audience, their community, the people that they're, resourcing or serving. And then all this other stuff that needs to be happening either in an operational sense or just in the interior of their life, their character, or just their core competencies, they're not paying attention to that stuff. And so it becomes a fault line, a breakdown in the leadership pipeline, leading yourself, leading others, leading through others. For whatever reason, this part goes unnoticed because it's the root system, it's the root structure that keeps the whole tree strong and fruit bearing and healthy. But if we overlook the root system and we're not continually growing in this lifestyle of preparation, working on ourselves and working through things, sometimes by ourselves, then we're not going to see the right ideas or meaningful identities being produced or reproduced in and through others. So that's a big thing to begin with, that it's just kind of getting overlooked, or maybe it'll be a topic like one time on a leadership podcast, but I feel that we really need to put a lot more attention on it because it takes a lot of work. And that's the second reason why this conversation is so important. This is not just a topic. It's not just an event. It's not just a conference theme, one time. This has to be a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle of preparation. Leading yourself is a lifestyle. And there really isn't like a clear-cut manual for this. And so you kind of have to figure it out as you go. I was going to say wing it, but you're going to have to figure things out as you go. And so just to have some sort of, friend on that journey, to have some company while you're pursuing that bigger, better future, so to speak, it goes a really long way. So we're here to lead ourselves, and then eventually, ultimately, we'll have the goods to help other people too. I want to give you a gift, and this is for the future friends. I would love, love, love for you to be in our email community. Please join this email community because it's going to resource you in more than one way. You're going to get content that's going to help you prepare to go there, help you lead yourself, help you develop a lifestyle of preparation, help you keep the future on the front burner. And you'll also get the information and the incentives that come out with the soon coming online courses. And these are going to be coaching-based courses that you can find and enjoy, and hopefully share with others, because this is stuff we all need to grow in. And then finally is the community itself. You're going to have introductions and access to an amazing group of people that are all focused on leading themselves and others into a better future as well. So this is the gift I have for you. It is a free fail-proof planning guide. You're saying, this sounds good, I don't know where to start. I want you to start right here, because it's going to give you more than just a how to now do kind of plug and play thing, because plans are flimsy, but we need something that'll keep us agile, not fragile. So that way, as life keeps happening so quickly, and as status quos are changing so often, we get to remain resilient, resourceful. We get to keep moving forward, right? And a planning approach is different than just a bulletproof plan. And that's what you need. You need a system, a proven step-by-step process that's going to help you rebound and re-engage with the process of getting clear, getting started, getting traction. That's what you need. And so that's what this is going to provide you. My wife, Sarah Joy, and I put this together, and I'm very, very thankful for the way it turned out. It's going to be a big help for you. It's going to help you with high level goal setting, and then it's just going to work down into the daily planning. And it's really designed to do kind of off-site. So if you want to go, to like a coffee shop, or you want to kind of pull away and just give yourself 1 hour. You know, if you can find music, coffee, tea, something that will just help you focus for an hour, then this will be a great resource for you. Let's get back into this coaching conversation. Finding motivation as you go. Man, we get started, we start strong. How do we keep that pace? How do we stay engaged with the process? I've heard it said that it gets messy in the middle. And so what do you do when your big ideas start bombing on you? And maybe you're waking up early in the morning and it's going good the first week, but then the second, the third, the fourth week, man, it starts to drag you down. And maybe you're just getting stuck and you don't know what that next step is. Or maybe you're in a place where you feel like you're in a rut because you're just doing the same steps over and over again. How do you find the motivation to keep pushing through? If we want results over the long haul, we're going to have to embrace repetition. We're going to have to show up again and again. And that can be tough. And so how do we find that motivation? I think it goes to just a simple myth that we can bust right up front, which is that motivation is not one size fits all, and it's not one time is going to last you the whole time. So here's a quote from legendary leader Zig Ziglar. He says, "Of course, motivation isn't permanent, but then neither is bathing, but it is something you should do on a regular basis." What I hope to share and convey to you is just going to be a simple framework to find motivation as you go. And that's the whole big idea. Motivation has to be acquired again and again and again. And once you have the skill set to motivate yourself, once you have this skill set to know what motivation looks like, sounds like, feels like, how to access it, it becomes the same as getting gas in your car. It becomes the same as getting food in your fridge. There's a process to refuel. There's a process to restock. And you need a process to motivate yourself again and again and again. Now, what happens is we go looking for motivation in unsustainable places. We are trying to get the same feeling that we got at the beginning, but we don't know how to keep it alive because we're reaching in temporary directions. And we need to find more permanent, more sustainable strategies for motivation. And, just as a general life principle, real growth happens inside out. You have to pull not from yourself, but you have to find a core that is greater than you. And, I'll be very straight up, like in my experience and worldview, that's living life in the Spirit. And that's trusting in Jesus Christ as greater, the greater one. And so anyways, I don't want to preach at you. I want to encourage you to, and I'll be preaching with the practicals today. So the first thing is that motivation is mission critical for where you're going. Motivation is a necessity. You can't overlook this topic. You can't leave this question unanswered. You will have to find out for yourself, how do I get motivated? How do I stay motivated? And most people are waiting on something or someone else to motivate them. And that is a surefire way to fail, because sometimes people will be there to motivate you, sometimes they won't. And, I'm thankful that we have adults and other people that are in our lives that will motivate us from time to time with prizes or punishments. But ultimately, you have to be the adult. You have to grow up. You have to own up, and you have to motivate yourself now, because it's not coming from someone else. That motivation has to become mission critical to you. And it can't be fleeting. It can't be seasonal. It can't be temporary. It has to become a part of your lifestyle. And that's what motivation is going to do. It's going to fuel a lifestyle of preparation. The reason I prepare, the reason I want to keep preparing, keep growing, keep learning, keep trusting is because I'm motivated. I have a motivation that is deep enough, strong enough, long enough to keep going. And once you find that motivation, then you have to learn how to multiply it. So motivation is going to be important. Let's figure out what the difference is between motivation and inspiration. A lot of people are expecting inspiration to come. They are actually more attracted to inspiration. Inspiration is like the light bulb moment. It's when the apple drops on your head. It's that one. It's the shooting star. It's the thing. It's the event. It's the moment. It's the aha. It's the goosebumps. Inspiration is wonderful. Inspiration is needed, but it's just a part of the equation to get from idea to identity. So inspiration and motivation are not the same thing. And a lot of people don't know that. And so they're wasting time waiting on more and more inspiration when they already had it. You already got inspired. So what'd you do with it? And are you going to learn how to repurpose that inspiration into motivation? I'm sure you can go far and wide into that direction, but let me just summarize the difference between inspiration and motivation like this. Inspiration says get going, and motivation says keep growing. Inspiration hits you and you're like, man, I got to do something with this. That's right. You need to get going. Like, you have enough to get started. You don't have enough pieces. You don't have enough skills. You don't have enough experience or wisdom or money to go all the way. But you do have enough to get started. And that's what you got to do. You got to get started and then get better. But motivation is now what happens once you've started. See, that's so big. Motivation, you'll never feel motivated at the very beginning of it. When you got to get back into the workout or wake up again or work on that project or have that hard conversation, like, you're not going to feel motivated. Motivation happens after you step in, after you get in motion, after you get started. And what motivation says is, hey, I'm moving in the right direction. Now, how do I keep this going? How do I keep this going? And you can't just keep kicking your wheels, spinning your wheels, because that's how you get in ruts. The way motivation grows is when you hear and accept, I need to keep growing. Hey, I got going, I got started, but now I need to get better. I need to keep growing. And that progress is what motivates you. So motivation becomes the lifeblood for any kind of progress that you're going to make, but you have to find it. See, motivation fuels us, but we have to find it here, there, and anywhere. It's not going to just be handed to us. We have to be intentional. We have to be proactive. We have to go and find that motivation. There are some misnomers about motivation. I think a lot of people think motivation is just some cliche, right? It's going to be something that you can put on a poster, something you can put on a t-shirt, something that you can, put on a vision board or a mood board. It's going to be a song lyric. It's going to be even a scripture. And I'm just going to look at that thing enough times. I'm going to say it enough times, and I'm going to stay motivated the whole time. Maybe not. And see, here's the key. Motivation is not just a cliche. It's a conviction. So if that phrase, word, lyric, song, verse, whatever is growing inside of you in the form of an idea that's becoming a conviction, growing into your identity, then yeah, it's going to motivate you. It's going to keep you going, keep you growing through the process. But if it's just something that's, droning and drowning and you're just saying it over and over again, it just becomes like a pop song that just kind of becomes cliche. And you're like, that's a fad. I'm kind of done with that. I need something else. And that's what gets us in trouble, because we start roaming too far away from the original why that got us started in the first place. So don't do that. I like to think of it this way. Motivation isn't easy to remember, but it's hard to forget. It's not just something that's easy to remember. It needs to be something that becomes so deeply embedded in your why, in your beliefs, that it becomes hard to forget. Man, I can tell you events, moments, conversations, struggles that really have been branded. They have marked my life story, and I will never forget the things I've seen, the things I've heard, the things I've felt, the things I've seen or thought about. And that becomes hard to forget, and that becomes a motivation. And I'm so just passionate for you that you would be marked with a lifetime of motivation. That what would it look like to get marked by a particular moment in your life story that is so deeply embedded in just your shaping as a person, as a leader, that it becomes hard to forget. And all I'm saying is that motivation cannot be shallow. It needs to become, over time, deeper and deeper inside. Let's see what else. So here are some questions to get you thinking. The first one is, this is how you're going to find your motivation. Number one, what's your motive? What's your motive? Like, it's kind of hidden in the word motivation. In order to have motivation, you need to have a motive. What is your motive? And that's what people don't see. They see your work, but they don't see your why. They see the process you're willing to go through, but they may not understand the promise that's keeping you focused day by day. You have to be very clear on that motive. You have to have a deep and compelling motive, because that is going to become the lifeblood, the fuel, the flow, so to speak, for the work that needs to be done. And, there's different ways to find your motive, but I think just answer the question. Just talk. Why do you want to do this? Go back to your motive, and then find ways to express that motive. Find ways to describe it. to clarify it, to intensify it. You know, that's where you can see stuff in print, on the shirt, in the song. You know, you make it a theme for your life or for your team or whatever. But the motive has to be clear. Otherwise, it's just going to become very muddy, and it won't be enough to go through the entire marathon. You have to have a compelling motive. The other thing that you have to do is ask yourself, what direction are you moving? This is so important, and this is kind of code word for you need a plan. You have to plan your work and work your plan. Once you know the motive, you have to put your motivation on train tracks. Train tracks. You have to think of motivation like locomotivation, right? You have to put your train of thought on a consistent track, and you have to lay out those tracks and say, this is going to be the direction I'm moving in until I see progress, until I see completion, until I arrive at that goal. And motivation cannot just be like jerking here or there, variable. You know, if you're changing things up too much too quickly, you're going to lose motivation. Building that rhythm, building that habit, building that those train tracks, laying it out clearly. Because if you have any wiggle room or any space to kind of deviate and to kind of fudge or not, like, you'll take it. You'll take it. If you have an option to take the lazy route, you're capable of it. I'm capable of it. So what do? We have to be clear on the motive, but then we also have to become clear on the path that we're moving. And when we can lay out that path, when we can clear out that path, now we have something consistent to commit to, and we're moving in that direction. You say, well, which comes first? You know, motivation or the direction we're moving? I think you have to do both. And what I mean is, you have to be clear on the direction you're going, and you have to get going on it. But then you're going to realize, hey, the direction needs to shift. I need to make some adjustments, some pivots. And so now you're calibrating that direction again. And you have to play the game. I don't know if you remember, but you can have like a train moving, and then you have to be building the train tracks in front of it while it's happening. And if you slow down on that process of laying out the train tracks, and the train moves faster and kind of runs out of road to run, you're going to stall, you're going to stop, you'll derail, and it'll be much, much more difficult to get motivated again, to recommit again, because you started something that you couldn't continue. And so you have to have that dual ability of heads up. Where are we going? Where are we going? What is the direction? And then heads down. Let's focus. Let's do it. Let's accomplish. Let's stay with it. The last question I want you to ask is, how will you stay in motion? How will you stay in motion? I kind of alluded to it before, but motivation is always found in motion. It's very difficult to just stir up motivation cold turkey. But if you just literally just get the ball rolling, if you literally just plant the seed, if you literally just identify the motive again, reconnect with that why, and then clarify the plan that you set in place. And then you say, okay, I got to keep this going. I got to keep committing. I got to keep showing up. And it's in the journey. It's in the day-to-day. It's in the motion that you will find motivation along the way. And I'm not trying to make it too simple. I'm just saying don't make it harder than it has to be. You will find the motivation you need along the way. Now, you won't have enough motivation to finish the final marathon, but you will have the motivation you need to keep going. And it's even one of those little hacks that that they teach you in running. I'm not a runner. I do run from time to time. I run towards food trucks and away from bears, but really what they'll teach you in racing or running is if you think you can't go further, you just pick a point. I learned this from my friend Justin. You pick a point in your trail and you say, okay, I just have to get to there. And then you're running. And then once you get there, you need to pick a new point there, right? When you run. And so you won't have enough motivation to finish, but you need enough motivation to get to there, and then there, and there. Let me look at my notes. I want to give you 3 tactics to stay in motion. Motivation needs a mood. Motivation is emotional. It's definitely emotional. There's an emotional connection, an emotional impulse, an emotional response. It's not entirely emotional, but you need to say, okay, am I really connecting with the mood that I need to stay motivated? And sometimes you say, I'm just not in the mood to do that. The good news is that you can figure that out and you can prepare your mood in advance. I believe if you'll prepare in advance, you'll do the pre-work when you show up, you'll take away a lot of the friction that, keeps you out of being in that state of motion. And so be thinking ahead of time. Okay, what are some things I can do to create the right environment, to create the right atmosphere, to create, the right space? So that way, when I show up, I've got some things, some tools that are going to help me prepare. Now, I'm not talking about hard stuff. I mean, just like when you wake up, you're going to have probably 100 reasons to stay in bed, but you just need a few good reasons to keep going. If you find that brick wall somewhere, that's where you stop. But what you're trying to do is clear the way, and then remove those barriers to entry, remove those excuses. And so you say, as soon as you wake up, you put the alarm away from your bed. All right. So now you're moving over there. You hit it. What do you want to do? You want to go right back. Well, what if something was waiting on you there? You got a light waiting on you there. You have water waiting on you there. You have, your shoes waiting on you there, whatever. And then that takes you to the next place. And you're kind of plotting your little course in that early morning routine, and your mood changes and your mood follows because you realize that you found motivation along the way. Another thing is a mode. So mood is internal, mode is external. Mode is external. I got to get in the mode. What mode do I need to be in? And that gets more into the productivity space where you have to have a workspace, and you want to have. I think it's interesting how you can customize, the workspace, and you're getting in work mode, you're getting in life mode, and I'm making stuff up. Let me keep moving. And then the last thing I want you to do is to find a model. Find a model. I'm not talking about a fashion model. I mean a role model. Find a role model. And it could even be a template. Okay. It doesn't even have to be just a person, but it could be a template. And you say, you know what? I'm seeing some success and in here or in this person. So let me learn from their good example. Or, I'm just observing and I can learn from people's bad example. But you're looking for models that are going to help you with your motivation. I really appreciate your time. And I want to let you know that finding motivation is easier than you think. You just have to know what you're looking for. So I thought of 11 places to find motivation. Okay. Now it's just a list. It's not exhaustive. It's just some ideas. But let me just show you how easy it can be when you know what you're looking for. Number one, you can find motivation in silence. Like if you get quiet enough, long enough, the right motives will emerge. The clarity, the fog will clear out. The clarity will come. You'll find that direction you need to be moving in again. And then you will get in motion, stay in motion just through silence. Okay. So my point in saying that is not that you have to go be, monastic. My point in saying is it doesn't take a lot. Like it's actually very doable. You might be saying, no, I talk a lot. It is not doable. No. Okay. Here's some other ideas. Reflection. You can find motivation in reflection. You can find motivation in words. When you see words, hear words, you're thinking through words. Another big way to find motivation is by having meaningful conversations. Man, when you're just kind of dishing it out with a friend or you're talking back and forth, you're dialoguing, it could be in text messaging. You can actually turn frustration into motivation. You can turn expectation into motivation. Positives, negatives, doesn't matter. You can have a conversation and figure out, okay, how do I kind of repurpose this conversation into more motivation? You can turn goals into motivation. Definitely action. When you take action, that can become motivating. Your wins, your successes, when you do things well, right, or as intended, that can become motivation. But even when you fail, when you fall down, you've come short, you lose, that can turn into motivation as well. All right. With the right perspective, that could even be motivation as well. You can look at examples. Like I said, the models. You can look at different people and their story and where they are in life and say, what can I learn from them? But you can also look at events or teams, cultures, stories. That can be motivation. Number 10 was stories. The stories you tell, the stories you share, the stories you repeat, the stories you reinforce will become motivation for you. It'll kind of become like folklore or legend. And you say, man, this is reinforcing a motive, a shared direction, and it's keeping me in motion. So stories are really powerful. Learning the power of narrative. And then reputation, that you actually build or grow a reputation of this thing that you've committed to. You have become the runner, the writer, the speaker, the parent, the leader. Did I say that twice? You have a reputation of this, and that reputation just kind of says, this is who I am. This is what keeps me going. And that is just proof. That was just 11 things just kind of off the top of my head to say, where could I find motivation? I didn't even mention like learning from books or other people or whatever, or examining or, getting proof of concept. Like there's just so many different angles at looking at this. My point is you have to be looking for it. And if you're going in the forest and you're hungry, you're going to start looking at things differently. You're not going to just look at them as, things to take pictures of. You're going to see them as things to eat. You're going to be looking and saying, okay, is that edible or not? And that's what you're doing as you're just going through life. You're saying, okay, could that be motivational or not? How would that motivate me to keep doing the mission, to live on mission? And that's when you just start to eat and breathe and sleep that mission. And now you're going for the long haul. And, maybe you are motivated, but your motivation is not helpful or healthy, and it's hurting you, or maybe it's hurting those around you. How would you kind of change your motivation? You got to go back to the motive. Say, okay, why are you really keeping this up? Is it selfishness? Or are you thinking about, others? Are you thinking about how this affects your downstream impact? Go back through the direction that you're moving in and saying, okay, this is where I'm at now, but if I keep this up, what is this going to look like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And then go, even way, way longer, maybe in another generation. And then finish out with that, last one is moving, and say, do I need to slow down and stop and evaluate where this is taking me? Because I'm feeling out of control, and I don't want to feel out of control. I want to trust and let go where I need to let go, but I also want to grow and receive the help that's waiting on me. So I want to finish with a question, 2 questions really, because you've got to get going and you've got to keep growing. So my first question is, what are you working on right now? What are you going to be working on right now? And that's really like yourself, your lifestyle, maybe your thought life, maybe prayer life, maybe your schedule, maybe time with your family. Like, what do you really need to work on right now? You can't do it all at the same time, but you can get a lot accomplished if you're just focused on one thing at a time. So what are you going to be working on right now? And then the other side of that coin, the other question is, what do you think you need to be working through? Like, what are you actually working through? Because there are reasons that cause you to go, and then there are going to be restrictions and forces that are going to try to stop you. So you got to be thinking about both ends. What am I working on? And then what do I need to stay focused and work through? And that amount of focus and honesty and humility will go a long, long way. Y'all, I'm not just thinking about getting to the end of the week. I'm not just thinking about getting to, the end of the year. I'm really thinking about, how do we go the long haul? And if the choices we're making today, the changes we're a part of, if they will have lasting results, then we're doing our job. So stay with it. Be encouraged. I will be back tomorrow with Prepare to Go There.
In 1000 feet, use the right 2 lanes to keep right.